Sayang sa pera.
Mahal-mahal na nga ng mga bilihin, dadagdag pa.
Walang silbi, walang pakinabang.
Kaming mga mahihirap.
Sinasayang lang
Kailangan
ng
magbayad
bulto.
ng tax nanakawan lang din ng mga politiko eh.
These are just some of the complaints about society's most hated aspect, taxation. Taxation. The lifeline of the Philippine government. What smutty politicians used to fund themselves.
But what even is taxation?
Taxation is the act of taxing authority, in this case, the government, imposing a financial obligation on its citizens or residents.
It isn't just limited to individual people, but businesses or other entities within its jurisdiction can also be taxed.
These taxes then generate revenues for the government, enabling to fund public services and programs as the benefits in the whole. From roads to bridges to public schools and hospitals, taxes can be formed through various forms of income, profits, property, goods, services, and transactions.
Taxes are also used as a tool to reduce income inequalities by collecting more from individuals, businesses, or entities with higher incomes or wealth to provide benefits and services to those with lower incomes or in need. This can even alter the playing field for different social classes by dampening the negative effects of capitalism.
Taxation is also used as a means to regulate and stabilize the economy. Governments can increase or decrease taxes to manage inflation, control demand, stimulate economic growth, or address specific economic challenges.
Taxes are even used to influence behavior by providing incentives for beneficial activities to the community, such as tax credits or giving tax write-offs when donating to charity, and disincentives for products that are discouraged, like buying alcohol or cigarettes.
However, one thing to take note of is that these rules are heavily exploited by rich and powerful people in the Philippines. Not just in the Philippines. In every single corrupt country, millionaires and billionaires find all sorts of ways to avoid paying taxes. But it is what it is, I suppose.
Moving on to the nitty-gritty of taxes, let's talk about the two classes of taxation.
Direct taxes. These are primarily taxes on natural persons. For example, individuals, and are typically based on a taxpayer's ability to pay as measured by income, consumption, or net wealth. Indirect taxes. These are levied on the production or consumption of goods and services or the transactions, including imports and exports. These are taxes on any aspect of manufacturing or production, taxes on legal transactions, and customs or import duties.
There are also 6 different types of taxation. 6 different ways the government steals. Collect taxes from us. Cheers.
Income tax. An imposed tax on financial income generated by all entities within the government's jurisdiction. Corporate tax. A type of tax imposed on the profit of a business. Capital gains. A tax on capital gains is imposed on any capital gains or profits made by people or businesses from the sale of certain assets, including stocks, bonds, or real estate. Property tax. A tax that is assessed by a local government and paid for by the owner of the property. This tax is calculated based on the property and the land value. Inheritance. A type of tax levied on individuals who inherit the estate of the deceased person. Sales tax. Consumption tax that is imposed by the government on the sale of goods and services. This can take form of value-added tax or VAT, a goods and services tax or CST, a state or provincial sales tax, or an excise tax.
Taxation of the Philippines, just like any other country, has played a vital role in generating revenue, funds, public services, and promoting economic development. The tax system is primarily based on a mix of national and local taxes with various tax types that relate to individuals, businesses, and properties. This is regulated by the Constitution of the Philippines and the Three Republic Acts.
Constitution Article 6, Section 28 of the Constitution provides that the rules of taxation shall be uniform and equal, and that democratic system shall be established by the Congress.
National Law National Internal Revenue Code, enacted as Republic Act No. 8124 or the Tax Reform Act of 1997 and subsequent laws amending it, most recently the Law on Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion was amended. Local laws. The major sources of revenue for local government units or LGU are taxes imposed under the Local Government Code of 1991 and those imposed on revenues levied under the state law.
You see, Adam Smith, an 18th century economist, philosopher, and who is also known as the father of the modern economics, attempted to synthetise the rules that should govern a rational system of taxation.
Number 1. The subject of every state ought to contribute towards the support of the government as nearly as possible in promotion to the respective abilities, that is, in proportion to the recent which they respectively enjoy under the protection of the state. Number 2. The tax which each individual is bound to pay ought to be certain and not arbitrary.
Number 3. Every task ought to be levied at the time, or in the manner in which it is most likely to be convenient for the contributor to pay. Number 4. Every task ought to be contrived as both to take out and keep out of the pockets of the people as little as possible, over and above what it brings into the public treasury of the state.
Various former presidents of the Philippines also had in shaping the tax laws of the Philippines. Let us begin in the 1990s. Under the watchful eye of President Fidel Ramos, it was during this time that the Bureau of Internal Revenue, or BIR, underwent a digital revolution, embracing the power of computers to streamline its operations. A 5-year tax computerization project was launched, transforming the BIR from a paper-pushing behemoth into a more efficient, modern organization. But the road to tax reform wasn't always smooth. The Estrada administration saw a brief respite from the taxman script, with programs like the Economic Recovery Assistance Payment offering a lifeline to struggling taxpayers. However, the wind of change soon returned, and the BIR continued its relentless pursuit of revenue. Under President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, the BIR underwent another transformation, this time focusing on becoming a more taxpayer-friendly. Reforms were implemented to simplify tax producers, improve efficiency, and restructure the organization. The introduction of the electronic filing and payment system marked a significant milestone in the Bureau's digital journey. The Duterte administrative brought with a wave of tax reform, most notably the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion Law. This landmark legislation aimed to reduce the tax burden of low-income earners while increasing revenue from other sources. However, the implementation of Orain was not without its challenges, and the laws faced both praise and criticism.
And so we conclude the journey of intricacies of taxation in the Philippines. In a world where government, like cunning cows, steal precious coins from the citizens, but only for the poor ones. Let us not forget, dear viewers, that without the diligent efforts of our tax collecting overlords, our roots would crumble. Public schools would stand empty, and public services would cease to exist. So let us raise a glass for the noble art of taxation. May our government prosper.
Francine,
and may...
Orain.
Bakit po?
BIR. 3 buwan na kayo din nagbabayad ng buwis nyo.
Hindi po ako yun. Hindi po ako yun.
Miguel.
Hindi na po ako yun.
Pakinay mo nga mo.
first came here from America, one of the first things I noticed is that basketball is so popular here in the Philippines. So let's dive into why it's so popular. I'm Mariano, and this is Philam in Manila. One of the first things I noticed is that basketball courts are all over the place. To city streets, to rural areas, there's courts everywhere. I've noticed that people even play barefoot like it's nothing. Here, it's all about passion for the game, and basketball's simplicity makes it super accessible so that anyone can play with just a ball and a hoop. Let's talk about the games. The intensity, man, it's crazy here. In the US where I'm from, casual play is more considered in these pickup games. But here, it's all serious business. It's physical, competitive, and for many, it's a way to prove themselves among the community. There's a serious passion when it comes to playing basketball here in the Philippines. Basketball came to the Philippines over 100 years ago thanks to American colonizers. It quickly caught on because of its fast pace and excitement. Over time, it became the country's favorite sport, as well as an important part of community and school life. Almost everyone here plays or watches basketball. It's more than just a game. It's something that brings neighborhoods and communities together. These courts become places where friendships are made, rivalries are born, and communities come alive. So why is basketball so popular in the Philippines? It's not just a sport, but it brings out resilience, teamwork, and the joy of coming together. It mirrors Filipino values and brings out the joy in everyone who plays it. I'm Mariano, and I'll see you on the court.
Alam niyo ba, sa loob ng isang linggo, 10 taon na lang tayo. Siguraduhin ko makakares ng mga ibang film. Mabibigyan siya ng prestisyo.
Kung ano man yung problema mo, malalagpasan mo rin.
Kung wala kang mahanap, sige. Papadimon kita at tatapos sa Mindanao.
Yes, autopsy immediate. Yan yung tawag sa gagawin natin ngayon.
MRI, tigil-tigilan mo nga ako sa pagbibiro mo.
Walang galang na. Pero ito na ang tanging paraan upang iusad tayo sa investigasyon.
Alam niyo para sa pasyente yung MRI, di ba? Hindi pwede scan yung bangkay.
Are you out of your mind? Mag-i-scan na naman kayo ng isa pang bangkay.
MRI dito.
Success ko na pala ng MRI-scan. Alam natin ang pasok mo. Serial killing ko na gagawin taon. Sa musikanda.
Bakit? Umalis ba siya?
Kaya mo makakasa. What are you doing, by the way? I haven't done anything wrong. 30 tao na pinatay mo. Hindi ako nakapatay ng tao. I am a doctor.
Welcome back to Seamless 1, live here at Bristol, Cymru. Good evening, I'm Jeffrey Clark, and now the news.
Violence, riots, and widespread civic unrest grip the United Kingdom. Thousands have been arrested across numerous towns and cities in England and Wales for looting, vandalism, property damage, and hate crimes. This situation remains volatile as clashes between police, protesters, and counter-protesters continue for weeks. Despite the deployment of thousands of riot control personnel across the kingdom, the protests show no signs of abating. Our correspondent, David Law, reports.
Scenes like these are increasingly becoming common across the kingdom. Rioters have continued their rampage, targeting mosques, police stations, and businesses owned by immigrants. The city center is a scene of chaos, with fires burning and widespread looting. The riots were triggered by a false leak, accusing a Muslim immigrant of killing 3 children and injuring 10 others at the dance studio in Southport, Wales last Monday. The impact of these riots is felt by people from all walks of life. Many businesses were destroyed and hundreds lost their jobs. Many people were caught between the crossfire, resulting in injuries, trauma and even death. With riots showing no signs of stopping, there is a growing sense of anxiety and despair. The future of Britain remains uncertain. David Law, CMS, London.
Thank you for that, David Law. We sympathize with those who have been hurt and injured during these dark times. Now, for the weather. An unprecedented heat wave has struck the Philippines, causing the suspension of on-site classes for students and raising concerns from different sectors within the masses. Our correspondent in Manila, Charlyn Ninalga, reports.
The relentless heat wave enveloping the Philippines continues on getting worse. Widespread discomfort and health issues have arisen from people of different age demographics due to the unprecedented temperature experienced all over the nation. Schools across Manila were shut down due to the raging heat. The government issued a memorandum order for schools to conduct classes on an online setting. The student has been stuck at home for days because of this heat.
Ay, sampagal ng internet dito. Buti pa dun sa klase namin. Ang lamig pa dito sa amin. Bagal-bagal ng internet.
The heat wave has also started to affect the country's agricultural sector. Local crops such as rice and corn are suffering from extreme temperatures and the lack of rainfall. Farmers are struggling to cope with such conditions, which could lead to a decline in agricultural productivity.
Sa sobrang init natuyo na mga pananim namin at hindi na rin magdiligan dahil natuyo na ang sapa.
Health experts are urging the public to stay hydrated and to avoid long exposure to the sun to avoid any adverse effects the heat may have on them.
Mahalagang paalala lang na uminom ng at least 3 litro ng tubig para makaiwas sa dehydration at heat stroke. Kailangan din nating umiwas sa sikat ng araw at magsuot ng mga mananipis at magaan na damit para hindi makulob ang init sa loob ng katawan natin.
This unprecedented heat wave has put millions at risk. Authorities are on high alert as the heat wave shows no signs of mellowing down. But with constant reminders from health experts and the suspension of classes, the government is hoping that these can keep the casualties at a minimum and the Filipino people safe. Charlyn Ninalga, CMS News, Manila.
And finally, for our showbiz news, we have with us our Chika correspondent, Miss Danna Elissa Verzosa and Chika Danna.
Good evening, everyone. It's Chika Danna with Danna. So for tonight's Chika, we'll be setting our eyes into our newly crowned Queen of Drag, Maxi. After weeks of fierce competition, dazzling performances, and unforgettable lip-sync battles, the crown for Drag Race Philippines Season 3 has finally been awarded to none other than Maxi.
Winner of Drag Race Philippines. The Philippines' next drag superstar is
Maxi, known for her fierce runway look, sharp wit, and unparalleled talent, has captivated audience throughout the season. Her journey from a hopeful contestant to the ultimate drag superstar has been nothing short of inspiring.
the Philippines' next drag superstar is Maxi.
As the winner, Maxi will receive the cash prize, a recording contract, and the coveted title of Drag Race Philippines Season 3 winner. She will also have the opportunity to represent the Philippines in the upcoming Drag Race Global All-Stars season. Maxi's victory is a testament of her hard work, dedication, and undeniable talent. We're excited to see what she'll do next. And that's all for Chika Dan tonight. Tune in tomorrow as well to catch our next session of Chika Dan. This has been your host, the one who gets things done, Danna Elissa Verzosa.
Wow, congratulations to Maxi for winning, and thank you Miss Verzosa for that showbiz news. I'm looking forward already to what you have in store for us tomorrow.